talked with him every night. And she often cried. And every time my mother sat down, my daddy also sat down. And when the young father heard that, he felt deeply hurt. He suffered quite a lot. He believed that there was a person who has intervened into his life and destroyed his happiness. So his heart became a kind of stone. He himself became a block of ice. When the lady came home, he did not look at her anymore. He did not talk to her anymore. She did not know why she suffered, but she did not ask. And after the offering had been placed on the altar, the young father came forward, lighted the incense, offered incense to the ancestors, prayed, and made 4 prostrations. Like when you pay respect to the Buddha, only 3 prostrations. But for your blood ancestors, you make 4 prostrations. That's in the tradition. And after having made the 4 prostrations, he rolled up the mat and did not allow his wife to do the same. In his mind, he believed that his wife was not qualified to present herself in front of the ancestors. So his wife got hurt deeply, did not understand. And he continued to behave like that for many days, 3 or 4 days. And finally, the young lady could not bear it anymore. She jumped into the river and got drowned. That night, when the young father lighted the lamp, kerosene lamp, suddenly little boy shouted, "Here, it's my daddy." So he pointed at the shadow of his father projected on the wall. "You know, sir, my daddy used to come every night like this, and my mother used to talk to him a lot and cry with him a lot. And every time my mother sat down, he sat down. In fact, the lady used to talk to her own shadow every night because she missed her husband too much. Darling, you have been away for too long. Alone, how could I raise the child and teach the child and so on?" So she cried with her own shadow. And of course, every time she sat down, the shadow will sit down also. Now, the young father understood, but it's too late. His wife is already dead. If the father had gone to the mother and asked, "Darling, I suffer so much." The little boy said that a person used to come every night, and you talk to him and you cry with him, and when every time he sit down, you also sit down. Who is that person? If the young father had gone and asked his wife about that, his wife would have had an opportunity to explain, and both could have avoided the tragedy, but he had not done so. That is because of the pride in him. And the young lady behaved very much in the same way. She was deeply hurt because of the attitude of her husband. But she did not come to him and ask for his help. She should have practiced the fourth mantra. Darling, my husband, I suffer so much. Please help. I don't understand the reason why you don't look at me. You don't talk to me. You didn't allow me to make the 4 prostrations before the ancestors. Have I done anything wrong? Please tell me, please help. If she had done that, and then the husband could have told her, he's hurt, he's suffering, but she had not done that because she was caught also in pride. And you know that in true love, there is no place for pride. So I want my friends here not to fall into the same kind of trap. Next time, when you get hurt by the person you love the most, when you suffer and when you believe that your suffering has been caused by the person you love the most in your life, you have to remember this story. Don't do like the father of the little boy. Don't do like the mother of the little boy. Don't let pride stand on your way. You have to go to that person and ask for his help. Ask for her help. Practice the 4th mantra. Darling, I suffer. Please help. If you really consider him or her as the person you love the most in this life, and then you have to do that. And then when the other person hear that, he will come back to himself. She will come back to herself and practice looking deeply. And then both of you will be able to sort things out, to reconcile, and to dissipate what we would call a wrong perception. Because in our daily life, we might be caught several times by our wrong perceptions. We are humans. We make mistakes all the time. We have wrong perceptions all the time. We have to be aware of that. Sometimes we think of turning right, but we say, turn left. And we believe that we just said turn right, but in fact we have said turn left. We made mistakes like that. And when we listen without mindfulness, concentration, we misunderstand the other person. So the Buddha said that wrong perceptions is what we are caught several times a day. That is why we have to be very careful not to be sure of our perceptions. Maybe you might like to write in calligraphy the 3 words, "Are you sure?" and stick it on your wall. As a bell of mindfulness. I know that when you open your heart and you touch the suffering of the people around you, you can relate to the people around you. And an energy of compassion, of loving kindness is born in you. It brings you a lot of relief. It brings you happiness. When we are able to generate the energy of compassion and loving kindness in us, we suffer much less. And in order for compassion and loving kindness to be there, looking deeply is the practice. When you look at these children deeply, you see that they are your mother, they are your father, they are yourself. And then to act in the name of love, of compassion, is so easy once your insight is there. The hatred, the anger we have concerning the other person prevent us to be happy, to be peaceful. But if we practice looking deeply into the other person, we see that that person also suffer quite a lot. That person does not know where to go. This person may be living in hell. He may be pretending to be happy, but he's not really happy. He's looking for happiness in the suffering. He is to be helped. She is to be helped. And maybe you are the one, the only one that can help him or her. And if you have that kind of insight, suddenly the stream of compassion will be born in your heart, and you will suffer much less. The insight, as the fruit of your practice of looking deeply, is what that will liberate us. And Buddhist meditation is described first as mindful living and then concentration. You live deeply every moment of your life, concentrated, to be there really, and then looking deeply. Being there helps you to touch and to look deeply into what is there. And once the insight is there is no longer any difficulty for you to love, to accept. If you practice being there in the present moment for yourself, if you practice living deeply each moment of your daily life, you'll be able to get the insight about yourself and about the other person whom you think to be the cause of your suffering. And then you see that that person is not your enemy. That person is yourself. That person needs you to be transformed. And suddenly, the nectar of compassion is born into your heart. That is the Buddha. That is the Holy Spirit. That is God. God is available to you 24 hours a day.